Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our next Walking Dead video leading up to the 5th episode for The Walking Dead Season 9. In this one, we're going to focus on Maggie. We're going to give our thoughts on whether or not we think that Maggie will kill Negan, and then also go into an interview that Lauren Cohan did regarding her possible return. Alright, and spoiler warning if you were not caught up for The Walking Dead, and happy Saturday to you guys. We have just one day left to Rick's final episode of The Walking Dead. In today's video, we'll switch things up because we've done Rick topics pretty much all week. So at this time, I think it's best to, just do something a little different for Walking Dead. And that is that, I kind of feel bad for Lauren Cohan right now because with these episodes coming up, everybody has pretty much forgotten that Maggie is also leaving in like another episode or two anyway. Apparently, or so far as we know, Andrew Lincoln signed on for, I think it was 5 or 6 episodes. This is episode 5 coming up, and it's going to be his final episode. So he'll do 5, it sounds like. Maggie apparently was scheduled for 6. So that means that we'll probably see her in this episode, episode 5, and then episode 6, the episode after. I guess that would probably be her last episode, so maybe not tomorrow night with episode 5. That'll be Rick's final episode. But her last episode would probably be the next week, so it'll be episode 6. And, everybody's just basically forgotten about it because all the stuff with Rick is so crazy that we have all just kind of, forgotten all about Maggie leaving, too. And it's not our fault. I mean, Rick is in a bad way right now, so he's going to get all the attention from the rebar and everything. Plus, Shane's coming back and all this awesome stuff they got going on for this episode. But then, of course, as well, too, we'll be seeing Maggie probably leave the very next week. Who knows? Maybe even the same night. But I'm predicting next week. We'll see. So for this one, Kyle George said, so Trev, what about Negan? Is Maggie still going to try and kill him? I thought that was going to go down this episode, and it's true. That's one thing about this season I think they've done a really good job of, is we haven't had a single, bottled episode yet. We haven't had any episodes where, there wasn't a lot of things happening at the different locations. Maybe episode 2 was probably because you had the focus on Justin and that kind of stuff. But a lot of people like that one. Maybe I shouldn't have been so hard on that episode. It wasn't that bad. But this season, every episode so far, I want to say, has done a good job of really mixing in what's going on at the different locations better than they've done in the past before in seasons like season 7. I want to say even parts of season 8, a lot of people didn't like kind of the feel of how they went around to I thought it was good, but a lot of people didn't like it as much. But with regards to this one, you have the different things happening. You got Rick over here, so he's basically in the worst state ever. You have Daryl, who's near the camp there, who's near the work camp. Carol, who's in there too, the saviors that are turning on everybody. Then you got Maggie, and she's going to be going to Alexandria in this episode and confronting Michonne, who's going to get in between her and Negan. So it's oh man, it's some really crazy questions here on how this whole thing is going to go down. And I'm not privy to spoilers with regards to the Negan, Maggie, Michonne situation, but from the sneak peek, it looks like Michonne is not going to back down. And if it comes down to Maggie versus Michonne, even though Maggie is super pissed off, right? She's got a crowbar and stuff like that, right? I still got to kind of go with Michonne. Nothing against Maggie. I mean, she's super tough and everything like that. It takes out walkers like nothing. But Michonne is a warrior, as Negan says, right? Michonne is that's what she does, right? She Wolverines that shit, right? So best there is at what she does with that katana, even without the katana too. You can't forget that she was the one who killed the governor, right? She was the one who stabbed him. Now, granted, he was put down afterwards by Lizzie and that whole thing, but she got him. You know what I mean? She stabbed him through the heart, right? right through the center of the chest or whatever, torso. So Michonne is brutal, right? Michonne is really savage and really tough when she needs to be. So can Maggie take her down? I don't think she can. So if she goes one-on-one with Michonne, and Michonne is defending or guarding Negan, I don't think Maggie can do it, right? I don't think you can do it, Maggie. I don't think you can keep them safe, right? So she might try to do it. Shane quote. You got it. I don't have to explain it, right? You got it. The episode, it's like tomorrow, so I gotta do some Shane quotes, right? So I'm thinking she goes at Michonne or whatever. Things come to blows, and Michonne fends her off and tries not to hurt her too badly, but maybe they get into a bit of a fight, and Maggie figures out that this ain't gonna work. I mean, she ain't gonna be able to take Michonne down. Michonne's gonna fend her off, and somehow in the craziness, maybe Negan escapes somehow here. I'm thinking like Negan's got to get out of there somehow. He can't spend the whole time in that cell. So maybe not this episode. Maybe it'll be in a couple episodes. But I'm thinking Negan's going to break out of there at some point here. The whole thing with Rick is going on. There's chaos everywhere. Maggie's coming to get him. Michonne might be like, here, just let him go or something, because that's how committed, or accidentally have him escape or something when she's fighting with Maggie or something. So that could be fun to see, and it's just something else that's in there that's coming up that I can't wait to see. And it has to be resolved before Maggie leaves. So it has to be resolved before I would say episode 6, most likely, if it's not resolved in episode 5. But it does look like we're going to get to see a lot of Rick scenes here, so I'm not sure how much progress they're going to make with this one until the next episode. We'll see, but I would tend to think that after this whole thing goes down, maybe Maggie finds out what happened with Rick, and that basically what her and Daryl did has resulted in Rick maybe getting killed, or MIA, missing in action, or whatever the case may be. And Maggie may decide that it's time for her to go to the Commonwealth. It's time for her to leave, take the baby and go, take Herschel and go, because things are just going to be bad. The whole thing is going to be chaos. And, if they were in any way responsible for Rick maybe, dying, or if everybody even has the impression that Rick is dead, then it might be best for her to get the hell out of there. So it certainly makes sense to me that might be what we'll see. We have kind of a civil war going off here, which I actually didn't even think we would even see this half. I thought they would kind of mix it in with the whispers and stuff. But this is great. I'm happy with this. So those are kind of my predictions on what I think is going to happen. I do not think Maggie will kill Negan. They're going to need Negan, right? They're going to need to have Negan because of Rick leaving and everything else. So we'll see how the whole thing goes down, man. But that's kind of what I'm thinking, what's going to happen. Now, let's go through the interview together. It's a new interview, just a new one. So just recently with Lauren Cohan about leaving as Maggie, of course, and also about the possibility of returning next year in Season 10. And I'll put the link in the description to digitalspy.com so you guys can go ahead and check this one out. The headline is, The Walking Dead's Lauren Cohan says her return as Maggie is not, I repeat, is not confirmed. Okay? And then she says in quotes, I just don't think it's possible for me to know. So ahead of time here, she's basically saying that she doesn't know if she's going to be able to return as Maggie in the Walking Dead series. She really doesn't know. She's got Whiskey Cavalier, right, which is coming up, which is a new series she's going to be leading in. And it says, quote, I just don't think it's possible for me to know that right now, she told Entertainment Weekly. The cool thing is that I don't have to. So she says the cool thing is she doesn't have to. So that is not a good sign for Maggie fans. Then it says, the right thing is going to show itself to me. Here's the thing. I could say, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this is what I hope. But the truth is, I can only do what's in front of me. And then it's got the... So the actress did offer a glimmer of hope when asked about discussions with the show's bosses, adding, we have had creative story conversation about what could happen with the character, and that's all I know. And we have heard from Angela Kang before, as she has said, that they do kind of have a plan for Maggie, and that she hopes that Maggie will return. She thinks she will return. That type of deal, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But, that doesn't mean for us for sure that she's going to come back next year. That still remains to be seen. It's kind of funny right now, right, based on what they said, because I'm kind of thinking that Rick's probably going to, return to the Walking Dead franchise in some way. And I'm kind of thinking that Maggie's probably not. That's what I'm thinking based on the information. But what they said was kind of the exact opposite. They were basically saying that this is Rick's final, episode of the series, this whole thing of The Walking Dead, and that whole bit, right? And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, oh yeah, is that right? And then they were like so confident that Maggie would come back, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know, man. It says, quote, it's really fun for me because I never thought about drama as much when I started this career, and I always kind of assumed I do like light fare. So, oh man, it's a tricky one for sure, right? Based on what she's saying here, she's basically saying that she doesn't have to return if she doesn't want to. There's a lot more details you guys can, of course, go into if you want to read it through for yourselves. But man, this is a crazy one. Whether or not she'll come back in season 10, man, just we'll have to wait and see, I guess. We'll just have to see. There are some other cool questions from Entertainment Weekly. I'll put the second link in the description for that one too. This is a good question. They asked her, they said, were you able to remain somewhat zen during your whole contract negotiation situation for season 9, or was that stressful? And then it said here, the response was, I kind of felt in some ways surprised, to be honest with you, and I took that, how baffled I was, and thought, okay, well, that's a sign. This is maybe just not a fit anymore. To feel like we weren't lining up in so many ways, I just thought, okay, well, maybe that means something. But in my personal life as well as my career, I always end up being really appreciative of things exactly as they turned out, because as an actor and as an artist, you're bringing your sensitivity to your job, but I need to be able to flip the switch and just look at this in a professional way. I felt like in order to be my own guardian angel, I had to put on a business head to protect the personal side of me. So long story short, let me just translate this whole thing for you guys. They probably didn't offer enough money. There you go. Okay, let's just break this down, all right? I'm gonna put on my business hat for a second. They probably didn't offer her enough money. That's it, right? So the greatest maturation has been depersonalizing it, and the end lesson has been knowing that that's a part of life. I had the best part of my life on the show, and the show has given me opportunities that I think we all dream of having as an actor, and it was just time to move on. And on a personal level, I have had time to build deep, lasting friendships with people that I will never lose. That's something I think has nudged me into this next venue of exploration, which is a new show, a new genre, and a new direction. Then she goes into just a little bit more about not really knowing even herself what direction this is all going to take, because we'll have to see if Whiskey Cavalier ends up being a hit for ABC. And if it does, then of course she's probably not going to return. That's pretty much a given. Or at the most, it would be like for a couple episodes, like a Shade situation, or maybe just for a very small part or something. But yeah, probably not, because of course she's going to be working on the show that's going to have her lead and probably pay her a lot more and everything like that. It makes sense, what is it? Makes sense, right? And then the emotions, they talked a little bit about the emotions of her finishing up her time as Maggie in the series. And she says that basically her and Andy, so her and Rick, Maggie and Rick, both of them were basically finishing up at pretty much the same time. So it says here that they had a goodbye dinner, that type of thing, I think. Just probably with everybody, all the people involved and that kind of thing. And then, it sounds like that's pretty much it, right? So we'll see how the whole thing goes with Whiskey Cavalier. As I said, and I've said before in my predictions, I don't think that she's probably going to return. But I hope I'm wrong, and hopefully Whiskey Cavalier tanks now. Okay, not for her, because you want to see it to do well for her for a new show, that kind of thing. And there's no way to tell how series are going to turn out, right? You never know how many years it's going to go for, how well it's going to do. So, but there's all the info we have right now regarding her return, leaving, everything like that, and some predictions in there for you guys based on what I've seen. Everybody say on the situation. It sounds like they want her to come back, but it might be too expensive for them for it to make sense. So we'll see. You almost just want to say, though, just, pay the damn money and get the people you need, because it's one of the biggest series in the history of cable. So, as long as it's not like millions of dollars an episode or something, you almost just want to say to yourself, like, just pay them, keep them, do what you got to do, right? But whatever. Tyler Langley said, if you put your business hat on and think about it from AMC's side, you do not kill off that character. He's too valuable to the franchise. So he's talking about Rick here again, right? Even if you age that character and recast him in a spin-off years down the road, he's still valuable. Where there's life, there's a chance. And that's true. If you think about it, too, if they kill Rick off, 100%, in this episode, in episode 5, then there's no way you can bring him back, right? And the same with Maggie. If you kill either of them off, then you can't use them again in the future, and there's, business-wise, there's no possibility there. But if you have those characters open, and you do kind of what they're doing here, which is pretty smart if you think about it, they're leaving these two maybe open-ended, or for Maggie, certainly they are. They've confirmed that. For Rick, we'll see what happens on Sunday, tomorrow, but you know, if you kill him off, you're basically ruining that opportunity. And he's a huge draw, right? They both are. They're both huge stars for the show. They're both huge draws for the series. And you need characters people care about. You know, your series is only as big as your stars, I think. At least that's my opinion. And we'll see how that reflects after this episode on Sunday, and also episode 6 too. Tammy Yeager Gibson says Rick is a Jadus, an A or a B. So I would certainly say that Rick is an A if it's an alpha or beta situation, and who knows if it is or not. We'll have to see what it means. But I'm going to say Rick is an A for sure. Zeki Numanoglu says, Trev, will you do a throwback review for Days Gone By? So the premiere episode for The Walking Dead, the first episode. That's a great idea. You know, maybe that's something we will do. Of course, with Rick on horseback going into Atlanta, the helicopter going over, everything like that. Man, that would be cool to do. So definitely this break, probably during the break, makes most sense. We could watch Days Gone By, and then we could do a kind of a throwback review to it, and I'll give our thoughts on it now since it's so many years later, and especially because they got Shane returning and everything. That's a perfect idea, and Rick in the hospital and all that's going to be really cool. So we should definitely do a throwback review to that, considering what's coming up. Great suggestion, Zeki. T says, in the Season 9 trailer, we see a short clip of Rick crouching with most of the cast behind him, running past him. We also see an Episode 5 trailer, Rick leading the herd over the bridge. Putting these two clips together, do you think there will be walkers versus a group fight on the bridge, resulting in it to collapse? Yes, I think so. So I think this huge walker herd is going to come over. Rick's going to pass the construction part. Daryl and the others are going to run up and start smoking them all down, and they're all going to kind of crunch up to each other. And I think the weight of it stomping down on it from all the walkers is going to collapse the bridge. It's going to crush the bridge. Again, I've said this before. I'm not a physics guy, but for some reason, when people march, I actually Googled this one. Apparently, the pressure of the weight needs to be dispersed, so it has to be spread out. When you get it all in a section and everybody's stomping, a whole bunch of hungry zombies are kind of tramping down on the thing. Apparently, the way that the vibration comes out in the bridge, it has to dissipate, or it has to spread, basically. And if you get them all crammed up together, people marching like an army marching and this kind of thing, or a ton of zombies going all crouched up in together, slamming their feet, going after people, the weight doesn't get a chance to disperse in the bridge and basically collapse the damn thing. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and that might have been what collapsed it to begin with. Or maybe it could have been the storms or something. Stuff needs maintenance over the years, right? It's true. And the last one for this one will be from Steve Zanella, who says, the final scene of Day of the Dead, actress Lauren Cohan, who plays Sarah, escapes on a helicopter to an island. She looks down and crosses a date off a piece of paper. The date she crosses off is November 4th, the same day Rick's last episode will air. What a coincidence. So it sounds like Steve watched it and noticed that the date is the same. That's crazy. I didn't notice that. I didn't think about that, you know. So I wonder if they planned that out or if it just happened on just chance. And I think it probably happened just based on chance. But then again, The Walking Dead did start kind of early this year. It started earlier than usual. So I'm not sure, man. That's interesting, right? Whether or not that was intentional. But I just think it's kind of cool, and thanks for pointing that out, Steve Zed. That's pretty neat. So that'll be it for today's video, guys. If you liked it, and I hope you guys like the videos this week, I like it. Thumb it up below, share, favorite, subscribe, bottom left. Check out the Patreon. Grab a Trev 2 t-shirt in the description. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon. As always, it's Trev. Saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.